Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank the Burbank community to the September Police Commission meeting. Let's go and start the meeting by calling the meeting to order and taking a roll call.
Commissioner Chapman?
Here.
Commissioner Coons?
Here.
Commissioner Ellman?
Here.
Commissioner Hartunian?
Present.
Chair Kobian?
Present.
Commissioner McKenna?
Present.
Commissioner Wenzel?
Present.
Thank you, everyone. Let's go ahead and start with this flag salute. Ann, would you like to lead us in the flag salute today?
Kindly place your right hand over your heart and ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So before we begin tonight's meeting, I'd like to take a moment to recognize a tragic incident in Pennsylvania where multiple officers were shot in the line of duty. 3 officers lost their lives and others remain in critical condition. As we reflect on the sacrifice of those who serve to protect their community, I ask that we all join together in a moment of silence to honor the fallen and support the families, colleagues, and loved ones. Thank you, everyone. And just to let everyone know, the public comment moment is coming up. And to speak during public comment, members of the public may speak for 3 minutes in person in the council chamber, or they may call 818-238-3335. Members of the public who attend the meeting in chamber will speak first, followed by those phoning in their comments. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is going to start with agenda item C, commission announcements and reporting out by commissioners and ad hoc subcommittees. And we'll start by, on our left side, with Narbe.
Thank you. Just wanted to report that the staff started helping me book my travel arrangements for the NACOL conference. So thanks to staff and everyone who's helping me figure that out. And I've also started coordinating with the department to schedule some ride-alongs. So I'm excited to get into those. Hopefully in the next few weeks, I've sent a couple of requests. Hopefully we can pan it out and schedule it and make that work. That's all I have to report. Thank you.
Wonderful. Paul?
I missed the August meeting, so I would like to comment on National Night Out, which I thought again was a wonderful success. And this year, quite by accident, I think even a little more of a success for me, I accidentally, I guess, was assigned to go to my own neighborhood. And neighbors that know me from walking my dog, but I didn't know for 10 years they've been holding one of these events. And I think if we can try and coordinate that in the future, that we, the commission members actually go to an event that's close to their residence, it would just magnify our ability to relate with our neighbors and communicate. I also attended the 9/11 ceremony last week, and thank you to the Burbank Fire and Police Department for doing that once again.
Michael?
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Ann?
Nothing to report at this time.
Michael?
Nothing to report.
And James?
New email is set up, and I know that was for a number of us as well. So new email is set up, and travel arrangements are in place for the NACOL conference.
Wonderful. I'm sure you guys are going to have a wonderful time. So for me, on Wednesday, September 10th, I attended the Electric Mobility Devices, the EVAC and Scooters presentation by Lieutenant Jeffrey Barkus. It's a really great workshop, a lot of relevant information on what's happening today. So thank you to the police department. Thank you for Lieutenant Barkus for putting that on. And that's all I have to report in regards to that. So again, for the public comment period, we're going to move forward. To speak during public comment, members of the public may speak for 3 minutes in person in the council chambers, or they may call 818-238-3335. Members of the public who attend the meeting in the chamber will speak first, followed by those phoning in their comments. And we do have one public comment in the chamber, and I would like to bring up Joel Schlossman. Sir, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. So I've got in my hand this flyer that you folks endorsed, but it's missing something. And I think it's missing the most important, critical piece of information. And I don't know why it's missing. And I wonder why you folks have printed multiple issues of this thing. I know that this is at least the second issue because it's got the new chief's picture on it right there. It doesn't say one word about the distraction of cell phones. And I can't understand that because that's the single thing that everybody has in their hands, and you want to respond to emails and texts, and it's just so, I mean, it's everybody's world these days. But not a word about it in here. And if my memory's right, I talked to you folks about it, the year before. I said, when it was missing. And when I see that you printed a new one and don't hear my words, it's very dismissive of my participation here. And it's not about me, it's about the safety that you're trying to accomplish. So I wonder, what could it be? What could the reason be why it didn't occur? Either it didn't occur to somebody, or you're doing it on purpose. You're not talking about the damage that cell phones, and this is personal for me because somebody hit me, and I saw them coming, and they're looking down. They hit me, and they naturally said it was my fault, and the insurance didn't want to pay, and I subpoenaed their cell phone records, and I was able to prove that they were on the phone at the time of the accident. So this stuff is real. It's real in my world. So I hope that you'll change if you want to, if you take this seriously, you want to make a difference. Why do something halfway? Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, sir. And do we have any other comments on the phone?
No calls pending.
Thank you very much. And moving on to agenda item E, commission response to public comments. Anyone would like to go first?
I can jump in. Mr. Schlossman, appreciate you bringing that to our attention. And I don't know if the brochure is printed using city funds yet. I know that there is a budget item in the future for it, so I think it's just been donations and other organizations have been printing that, so that's something that can be taken into consideration. But I don't think city funds have been used in that misprint, so. Okay.
Anyone else? Okay. Well, Mr. Schlossman, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. Again, James is correct. City funds have not been used. This has been a labor of love from a lot of community organizations all throughout the city. Actually, it was our involvement with Glendale PD. They had a gentleman there who chairs their Glendale Police Foundation that donated those flyers for print. But you're absolutely right. In regards to changing the information, I think we can kind of reflect back on it because it's been around for 2 years and see what kind of relevant information we can put to what's happening today. And I think putting information about distraction of cell phones is really vital. And it wasn't done on purpose. It was just a reprint with additional information. But that's something we can definitely address. So next, we're going to move on to the approval of minutes from August 20th, 2025. Do I have any motion to approve the minutes?
I'll motion to approve.
Jane motions to approve. Do you have a second? And seconds, all approve?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. So next, we're going to move on to item.
Abstain.
Abstain. One abstain. Okay. Good. So next, we're going to move on to agenda item G, items of business, the discussion and selection of topics for a report out at the Joint City Council Police Commission meeting on October 14th, 2025. So what I would like to do is, I have some ideas and some categories and things we can kind of dive into in regards to what we can possibly discuss with City Council, but I want to open up to the Police Commission to get your thoughts and ideas on what information we can collectively come together and put together, and I can write the report and later on share it with Sherry so she can share it with you, that we can present at the joint meeting with City Council. Ann?
Okay. I thought last time we discussed possibly going back through agenda items and categorizing them that way. Thought that, to me, sounds like a good proposition.
Okay.
Is there another way that we can, present and consolidate the general items that have been discussed?
James?
So what we've done in the past is it's been absolutely that. It's just going through and it's pulling the information from agendized items. And if there's outside of that, if there's any significant activity that's taken place, we've included that. So that way it's information that's already been made public. There's no new information. There's no surprises or anything like that. This will be, I think this is the evening where we will get, as a commission, get a chance to talk about it, and then we're going to see the report. So by including information that was previously presented, it keeps it consistent with the work that we've been doing.
Okay, great. Anyone else?
I agree with the methodology that we've used for the last 3 years that I've been part of it. I do think, though, we should go down the list and possibly pick out 6 or 8, but a minimal number, so that we're not overwhelming the council but these will be considered our most significant points of interest, our points of communication, so that I think less is more, has more power if it doesn't get lost in too many.
Okay. Michael?
I agree with Paul, and I think it'd be good if we prioritized what we thought was the most important things that we did.
Okay, and just let everyone know, because we're not going to be able to have another meeting, do we want to have that information or the items that you guys feel are appropriate sent to Sherry? And what we'll do, no? He's looking at me and saying no. Okay.
You'll want to have that discussion now
No. And what
with
the items
your
are. Okay.
priorities and kind of a general overview of what you'll want to discuss. Sending it to Sherry, Sherry then sending it to each each commissioner is frowned upon under the Brown Act. So let's avoid that.
Okay, so just talk about, okay, sounds good. So I had, obviously the major topics we talked about in regards to the agendas that we've covered over the last year. Also would love to share information about community events we've attended as commissioners. I think that'll be great to highlight, to show activity in the community. And then also the launch of the Drive Right Save Lives campaign. We've had 3 workshops since then. We had a launch since then. I think that'll be great to share with the city council. And also, of course, the attendance to the NACOL conference. I think it's really important for, council to know that we are active. We are out there visiting different states, talking about Burbank and the role of our commission in our community. And yeah. Want to get everyone's thoughts on that?
I'll need a moment. I'm going through my records to take a look at what items we've covered over the course of the last year.
Sure.
One of the things that came up multiple times, I will note, is that there were multiple reports on crime statistics in different locations. October was a crime hotspots report. I don't know if the information we want to carry forward from that, but I'm actually in the process of looking at all of them right now.
Okay. Sounds great. Anybody else?
Oh, I was just going to say, I wasn't involved in a lot of discussions over the last year, but just as a recommendation moving forward, I think as we try to capture the work that we do, I think it'd be helpful to the council if we kind of try to organize it aligned with their goals. That way, as we're going through the year, we have a kind of a running idea of what we're addressing, and they kind of know how we're approaching their vision for the city through the work that we do.
Okay. Great. So Ray, just a question. So because we're kind of formulating and getting different ideas from different commissioners of what we can possibly discuss, consolidating that and then sharing that with council, what would you recommend is the most appropriate way of doing that?
Well, I think this meeting's purpose is to come to either an agreed upon kind of vision or statement you want to make to council, or agree that you all can present your own kind of brief statement to council. So it depends on how you want to approach it. But if you are going to come to a consolidated statement, you guys, as the commission, can decide who's going to read that statement. If you want to take, turns, taking specific portions. But I think keeping it concise, to the point, and I like the idea of keeping it in line with the visions of the council to kind of show them what sorts of progress you've made over the last year would be beneficial. But yeah, that's kind of how I see the framework working out. That's if you consider a consolidated statement. There's no requirement that you do that, and each individual commissioner can speak to council if given that opportunity. So
Wonderful. So that would lead us to the next question. Do we want to have a consolidated message? Do we want to have different commissioners presenting to council? Yeah.
Offhand, I would think that since we are conscious of having a mission and having a, uniform goal, et cetera, that it should be a uniform presentation of our mission. We see our mission as, and these are the topics that we have tried to focus on. That's just, my first attack on this.
Thank you, Ann. Michael?
I agree with Ann. It should be consolidated. We're a commission. It's not about us individual commissioners. It's about what we do together and what we achieve together.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michael.
I think that's the point of narrowing it down to like 6. That would be our participation, and then the presentation of the 6 represents us. But I think it's just too time-consuming for more than one person to be going back and forth, and out of respect for the council, I think keep it simple.
Okay. Sounds good, Paul. Did you have any comments? No. Thank you very much, everyone. So what we'll do is I'll come up with a consolidated presentation to City Council next month. And James, did you want to chime in? Because I know you're doing a little research.
I am currently at 13 topics so far. That's through April. I can give you a rundown of what those are if that would be helpful. We talked about crime hotspots. We had multiple meetings where we were talking about various aspects related to domestic violence, a report out on NACOL and the dashboard, a couple of meetings where we talked about the vision and mission. We had the annual military equipment report, talked about DUI enforcement, scooters and e-bikes at multiple meetings, the 2035 general plan. We also had an in-service training on the Brown Act and the Political Reform Act. We had a presentation on recruitment, hiring, and promotion, a presentation from the Comms Center, and I was just writing down some information on the work of the Pedestrian Safety Ad Hoc Subcommittee, and I've got a couple more months to roll through.
And do we want to go through all the agenda items that we've covered? And well, you said you only about 6, right? 6 important ones. Paul?
That was just my opinion. It could be 6, could be 8. I was just trying to be efficient. I think if you put out 12, you'd be lucky if anybody hears 4.
Yeah.
If we put out 6, they're going to make an impact. But I'm just trying to be specific rather than a shotgun.
Got it. Okay.
Are there any of the topics that kind of blend together?
School safety and driver
Good.
safety.
Good.
2 that I was going to put together already.
Just wrote that one down.
And right in line with that, the fact that I do believe we've increased the numbers of RSOs, or SROs, and I think that was, we've been lobbying for that both with the superintendent and with the police department, so I think that's a feather in the police department's cap that we could say thank you for.
Okay.
Is there anything that I think recruitment and the efforts of the city to, reach out, make working here enticing and get our best candidates, is there anything that we can loop with that as a category?
Thank you, Ann. Michael?
I think we can consolidate all the crime reporting, because so we did different types of crime at different times, but I think we can, on this report, we can consolidate it into one report.
I think that's great.
I also was going to say, I think that the topic of mental health not only met, but any way to perhaps include domestic violence and under perhaps efforts of the department to provide response to community need, something like that? No? Okay.
Unclear what your word is.
Yeah, can you clarify that?
I know we have heard important information and developments from the mental health team, and also what efforts are being made when we each called under domestic violence, when we each called the different agencies to find out how do people reach, is this the phone number, et cetera. Is there any way to consolidate that?
Yeah, I feel like that kind of falls in the category of community engagement, because we're
Okay.
out there doing research, which is great.
So
And
does
as-
community engagement become one of our 6?
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's up to the commission, but I think that we've done a lot in the community, from going to, coffee with a cop events, ice cream with a cop, we've done the driver safety workshops, we've done, we've attended a lot of events, National Night Out, we've had police and fire days, so there's a lot that we've done.
It all falls under the heading of community engagement.
Yeah.
So we might as well address it that way.
Yeah. And we can come up with some,
And just to do an example of why that is very important, and when I've been on various commissions for 20 years, this is the most active commission I've ever been on when it comes to actively being out in the community. Most people don't even know what commission you're on unless they have a problem in that, and then they come to that meeting. But being the fact that they're going out to Police and Fire Day, going out to different events, going out, meeting with both police officers and community members, I think really expands our value. Even if all we do is correct a misconception, we've done something for that one person. So community involvement for this commission, I think, is unique to this commission, and I think it should be highlighted that we have an active role in the community.
I think that's great.
Yeah, I got a chance to finish going through the topics for last year, and there were 10 that jump out that seem of importance that we may want to address. I want to lift up the fact that our last meeting we were talking about the city goals, and so I think it would be useful to present and share on what we've been doing in relation to the city goals. So that being one of the topics. The other 9 topics that jumped out at me from this past year are the work that we're doing looking at crime. I'm still in favor, I know it's been back and forth, but I'm still in favor of lifting up the concerns and the issues related to domestic violence as a safety issue, and unfortunately, with the moment of silence, we're reminded today of why that's such a sensitive and important topic. It was very frustrating for us, I think, for over the course of a few years, but the work that we did around the vision and mission statement really helped us kind of focus in on what we're supposed to be doing as a commission, and I for one, am appreciative of the work we did there. And that's a product that the city council charged all boards and commissions with. So I'm really happy with what we did there. A lot of work, and this is a sensitive subject, but a lot of work around scooters and e-bikes. I know that there's been back and forth about who owns that topic, who started that topic, who's resolving that topic. We did a lot of work related to that, and I think it's important to demonstrate the partnership and if there's a way to navigate the relationship between us and with the city council about the importance of raising up that topic. I think collectively a lot of really good work was done there. I personally always want to report out on recruitment, hiring, and promotional activity, especially when we look at equity work and having the department reflect the city and the needs of the city. Pedestrian Safety, the Ad Hoc Committee, I'm always a fan of the work that we do around mental health and the mental health evaluation team. We also, remember that we also got one of the first years with good data on the RIPA report. So we did get a presentation report on that. We're able to respond to that. And then the last one of the hotspot topics or hot issues right now is around traffic safety and parking as it relates to school starting, because I know this year was particularly stressful. I don't know if it was more stressful than any prior year, but it seems like we got more feedback this year from the community than we had in previous years. So those are my 10, and I know they're 10 and it's not 6 or 8, so I apologize for that.
and there's some items that overlap based on what everyone else is saying. Yeah, 10 can become 6. Yeah, so I can just kind of read off everything we've kind of like discussed tonight. So we've brought the topic of SROs, school safety, police hiring, crime reporting, mental health, domestic violence. It seems like a lot of stuff overlap. Of course, work in the community, aligning ourselves with city goals, scooters and e-bikes, recruitment hiring. Of course, so it seems like pedestrian safety is popping out, domestic violence is popping out, mental health is popping out, and community engagement is popping out. So that's 4. And then, let's see. Presentation on RIPA, which is great. So that's 5. And then for the 6th one, anything that comes to anyone's mind? And work on crime statistics? The work on crime statistics?
Yeah, I think it would be going through and pulling that. I would include in that topic how the commitment that we've made as a commission to make sure that we're looking at the data that's presented on the Burbank Police Department website and able to provide feedback on that.
Okay, fantastic. And do we, and I know, Ann, you earlier on, you mentioned that you would like to have this as a unified message. So do you want to have me as a chair presenting to the council, or do we want to take turns talking about different
Oh, I think
areas that we feel like we're...
there's safety in numbers, and I think you doing it, presenting it, perhaps, supports that unified, here's our message, here's our, here's our mission as we see it, and these are the categories that, support that.
Fantastic.
I don't know how many times you're going to ask that question, you're going to get the same answer.
No, the only
It's
reason
on
why I
you,
ask
bro.
is because we're all passionate about different subjects that we talk about, right? So, I mean, from mental health to school safety to, traffic safety
Yeah.
to,
I think you won.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah,
Then I guess I'm the one
appreciate the
presenting.
unified piece as well, and I'm going in the Wayback Machine and thinking about this has always been an awkward moment in the joint meeting when we're reporting out.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of controlled chaos a few years ago. Some of us may remember that where we were expecting just to have one voice, and then I think we were invited to everybody kind of come up, and it kind of it got a little loose.
Got
It got a
messy.
little loose. So my preference is to have one report out, and then if there's questions that come up, we can then engage that way.
I think our presence will be enough. You'll know we're there.
Wonderful. Okay, great. So that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. I'm glad we had this conversation. So the next thing I want to ask is, do we want to have any questions that we want to ask council while
Paul-
we're there?
Paul may have had a
sorry,
comment.
Paul.
I don't know whether we're going to discuss what we're going to say, but something I should have said in my earlier comments. One of my observations in Chicago was, first I thought I was looking at like e-bikes that were being used like bicycle messengers in New York City. But no, it was DoorDash. And since that's a national company, that may become a national problem. That all of a sudden people are getting food, adding insult to injury, it's not just kids. Now it's food being delivered on unlicensed vehicles and unregistered vehicles and unlicensed drivers. So I just was looking at it as a shape of things to come to be concerned about.
May I
Thank
ask,
you, Paul.
are they delivered by a bicyclist of some sort or a robot?
The robots were there too, but robots are on the sidewalk. What I thought was the problem was a regular electric bicycle, basically a motorcycle, and on the back, like where you want to have a school backpack, they have a big DoorDash or like a Domino's, heater
Guys,
box.
I'm getting the eye from Ray, so let's just keep it on course.
No, I'm just saying, so if we bring that up, we got to think of the way that
Right, include the
evolving.
potential.
Yeah, okay. Wonderful. So wonderful. It seems like we got six wonderful items to cover, to have a conversation with City Council about. So the next thing I want to also ask everyone is there any questions you want to ask City Council over there? In regards to anything that they would want to see the police commission do in the community, any priorities they would want us to champion?
behind you.
Michael?
Well, when we move forward, it's always good to have clarification of what the council wants, because, I mean, in our mission statement, it says, "The police commission, on behalf of the community of Burbank, at the direction of the city council, shall provide civilian oversight to advocate best law enforcement policies for the greater good of the Burbank community." So if we could have clarification or discussion on where council wants us to go. What's the direction they want us to take?
My statement was along those lines, but mine would be, what are their concerns? Do they have concerns about what we're doing, and then if they want to redirect us?
Right, I would only add, do they have concerns in terms of, we have selected these areas as like our top 6 or 7? Does the council think they're relevant? Does the council think there should be something else that perhaps should be higher up on our table? I'm also, maybe I shouldn't say this now, might be new, I'm not sure. But one of our categories is recruitment and hiring, and when I talk to people, there's a concern about all these buildings that are going up. Where are the people going to come from, and where's the water for them, et cetera? And I'm curious as how will our city services, police, fire, et cetera, be able to support these increasing numbers? Perhaps, what does the council the city council see, and how would they like us to, participate in that? I mean, it's kind of a given.
I think if, as long as it's along the lines of like subjects that we can focus on, that they want us to focus on that pertain to what we're doing, I think we should be okay.
Okay?
Yeah, to Ann's point, we've talked about it before when we were looking at the 2035 plan, and we're actually able to project out what the population is, population numbers are in relation to what the current police force is. And we've recommended that we need to see by 2035, I think we figured out we need either 24 or 26 more officers if we're going to keep the same ratios that we have right now. I have a slightly different take in terms of receiving direction from the city council, though. One, all of us have the ability to engage our city council members now. So having those conversations should be happening. The second is I view it as that they've selected and entrusted us to pursue an agenda. One of the things that we've figured out how to do is how to set an agenda and move that forward. I mean, we can ask them this, we can have this conversation. I would, if I were sitting on city council, which I'm not, I would probably feel a little frustrated with any board or commission that's asking for direction when we've already entrusted and empowered them to pursue the agenda that they see fit on behalf of the city, knowing that we've already got communication open. So I'm in a little bit of a different space in terms of needing. I think if city council members need us to go in a certain direction, I think we're going to hear about it. I don't think we need to sit back and wait for that. That's my take.
Michael?
You can't wait for something to go wrong to have dialogue.
Right, exactly.
So, you're correct, we can go individually and talk to any council person we would like. But I think in terms of, we're a group, and we should all be receiving the same message, the same information at the same time. And I think when we ask a question as a group, when council chooses to answer us, we all get the same message together.
Kind of like a jury.
You can use that term, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I'm just
Yeah.
saying that information is important to all.
I agree.
And if it's not shared, it creates its own problems.
But
Paul?
getting back to what Ann said, I think I discussed this on Police and Fire Day with our chief. There are guidelines on the number of officers for the population. That means there's no requirement. It's a guideline. And I just think that if we're budgeting for this increased tax increase from these people, we should just automatically be budgeting for more police officers per capita. It's just numbers. And at this point in time, I know we're having trouble getting up to our current number. So that means the problem's only going to be magnified if we wait. But I think that the police department needs to have the permission/authority to meet anticipated needs, not necessarily where we are right now.
So is that feedback you want to give that to the council?
I think it should be included if you're going to talk about recruiting, that we should recruit anticipating all these buildings that are going in are being fulfilled. I just saw a thing today that if Olive becomes a thoroughfare, everything within a half mile of it is allowed to become a high-rise. That's, numerically, that's dangerous. If we don't, you can't tell the chief 6 months after 300,000 people move in, oh, you should have hired 3 more officers. No, we should have, if we're planning for one, that's part of the planning.
Yeah, and I believe that when we're giving that, when we're going through the 6 topics and recruitment being one of them, having some type of feedback on that during that conversation.
Right,
would be
I think that's
sufficient.
where it should be. And I should say that if we're anticipating growth of our city, we should be preparing by giving permission for our police department to grow accordingly.
Thank you, Paul.
If I may just add a quick note, so you are given the goals and expectations of council, and your parameters are kind of set within that. And you as a commission are given kind of wide discretion to figure out the topics you want to address. So I don't think asking council for direction on certain topics is the best route. I think you should ask if there's any other additional topics outside of what you guys are already talking about as a body that council may want you to pursue. That may be a better approach than asking for direction on where the body should be going next.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, okay. No, Ray's usually right. So, okay, wonderful. So we have our 6 items that we want to discuss at the next joint meeting. Anything else from the commissioners before we move on? All right, wonderful. All right, so moving on to agenda item G2, general announcements by Chief Quintero. Brief announcements regarding upcoming events or items of note related to the police department.
Chair, fellow commissioners, the Burbank Masonic Lodge First Responders Recognition Dinner will be tomorrow at 6:30 p.m., where we will be honoring the Officer of the Year and the Professional Staff of the Year. We will be having a car seat safety event, partnership, council mayor is going to be present along with Assembly Member Schultz on September 27th at Ralph Foy Park. And then we have a Coffee with a Cop event on October 1st for National Coffee Day. The San Fernando Coffee Company is where the location is going to be at. On October 7th, we intend to have the Pink Police Vehicle reveal at the front of the station at 10 a.m. And then on October 14th, we have the Joint City Council Police Commission meeting. And the last one is on October 15th. We will be having 3 graduates, and speaking about recruiting, we'll have 3 new employees coming on board, graduating from the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department Academy.
That's wonderful. Congratulations.
You.
Thank you so much, Chief. And then, so next we're going to move on to agenda item H, introduction of agenda items for future meetings. Just a reminder, in November, we have agenda as the update on parking enforcement efforts since hiring parking enforcement contractor last parking, and then we also have Chinquintero's vision and priorities for BPD. Do we have room for other agenda items for that month, or do we want to add anything to that month?
For November?
For November?
You're pretty much, I think you're there at November. October, there might be some room.
October, we have
October,
the
there's
joint,
a lot of room because there's nothing
we have the joint
officially.
meeting in October.
Is it the joint meeting? There's no,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no meeting of the commission itself?
No.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you may want to agendize something to go over the OIR report if there is any follow-up that you need to consider, discuss, if that's something you want to do as a board. You probably want to set that for November so it's fresh in your mind.
Sure.
And maybe push one of these items out to December.
Aren't we dark in December? Maybe January?
In January.
Okay. So how does everyone feel about that? Do we want to have the overview of the RIPA report?
So
the OIR report?
I'd like to motion that we review the OIR report at our November meeting.
Okay.
Review and discussion of the OIR report.
Do I have a second, Michael? All approve? Aye?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. So now we're looking at moving that, where do you think we should move that? January? Or what item would you like to move?
Well, that's where we want to open it up, and it would be
Oh.
good because some of the 3 items that are there are agendized items from the department. So I'd like to open it up to get some feedback from the department on what your preference would be.
So I just hit my mic because if we're talking about 3 agenda items, I know for myself, sometimes I like to talk a little too much, and that usually will carry over for at least 20 minutes.
Sure.
The LAS parking and getting an update on that is important as it is. I think if we're going to be prioritizing something, my suggestion would be to prioritize the OIR as mentioned before, especially considering it's fresh. And that will probably generate a lot of questions and discussion in itself. So if you're asking for my preference, I would say stick to, I'll give my vision and priorities and then the OIR report, and then can move the LAS to another date.
Do we want to move last to January?
So you want to open it up for a motion in a second?
Oh,
on
sure.
that?
Can I
Yep.
get a motion?
Second.
Oh, second.
We got a motion.
Yeah,
I'll
we
go
gotta
ahead
do
and,
the motion
I'll go
first.
ahead and motion. It sounds like, okay, and it sounds like Paul's second.
All seconds and all approve?
And that's to move the last parking
That's to move the last parking
presentation and
discussion.
discussion to
Yeah.
January.
January.
I'd also, to get ahead of it, oh, you need to
Yeah,
vote, you're right.
And all approve?
Aye.
All right, wonderful.
I'd also like to make a motion to get ahead of this right now, because we know that this is something comes up and we're going to get rushed pretty soon. I'd like to motion that we schedule the military equipment review report from the department for January. Actually, I guess you need a second, and then we can discuss the why to kind of catch everybody up.
All right,
so
second,
Paul's got
second
the
by
second.
Paul. Motion made by James.
Yeah,
second Paul.
and so you can open it up for discussion at this point. And the
Yeah.
reason being is because this is what we've traditionally done is the military equipment report. We kind of, it's almost a dry run, if you will, because this is a report that does get presented to the city council in February, but we've traditionally gotten it in January if there's any questions or bugs or anything like that.
And that's also the one that's open to the community and advertised, so.
The
Oh,
next
that's not-
month
oh, that's the one
it
after
happens.
we-
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So we get to work it out in January, and then it gets presented to the public in February. And I can't remember whether it's February or March that it goes to the city council. It's March. Okay. So I just want to so the motion is to have that on the agenda for January. Paul's already
Paul's already
seconded,
second.
so I
And
just
you
got
can
to
take
call
it-
for the vote.
Calling for the vote. Anyone approve?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. It will take place in January. Any other agenda items anyone would like to agendize for a future meeting? Michael?
In the past, we've looked at the arrest reports and people who are already into the process. I would like to take a look at service requests for service that basically come into dispatch, that, you know, how it breaks down, how many of them are dispatched on, how many are handled at the dispatch level, what time do they normally come in, what's the busiest time, day, and what type of requests they are.
I'm a second that for the purpose of discussion. I agree 100%, but would like to ask is, I apologize if I'm using the wrong terminology, but new community resource officers, they're basically non-sworn officers. We've just hired some of those, and I was wondering how, in thinking what Mike is saying, how we might be dividing up some of these calls and basically telling the community how we facilitate these officers.
If I heard your question correctly, specifically what you're trying to unpack as far as our calls for service and just the overall call volume, how it's divided up or dispatched and what that looks like.
Right.
There's a lot there as far as, could we narrow it down as far as what you're looking at prioritizing and focusing on instead of throwing the kitchen sink at it?
I would say, you know, I guess I'm looking more at numbers. I'm going to be like Layla. How many calls come in during a day? What's the peak hours for calls? Is there a peak hour? And generally, at a high level, what type of calls they are to categorize them. Not every little thing like there's a cat stuck in a tree or a dog barking.
And maybe someone can give me a little bit of historical, because I remember prior to me coming on, Captain Lasacco had provided a similar type presentation with that type of data. And what I remember in looking at the video was calls for service, volume, frequency, dispatch times. So a lot of what you're asking for has already been presented.
Then I would like to just know what has anything changed? If anything has not changed, that's fine too.
That's kind of broad. So is there
Yeah.
anything specific that you want to get? Like, is it just calls going out? Like, I mean,
We also have more than one entity when you call that number. Whether it's an officer needs to be dispatched, whether it's a mental health team needs to be dispatched, whether it be a community resource, I apologize, what's the term for the new officers? Are they-
CSO?
Is it-
Community service officer.
Community service officers, how it's determined and how many of those are being sent out. Because I think that's a brilliant addition, and right up with the mental health being less intimidating, And I think it's a great way to service our community where you don't necessarily need to take an officer out of, and how we divided that up, I think it shows efficiency.
Then, okay, so what I'm hearing is, do we want to just retract the calls for service in the general sense and specifically focus on the CSOs?
Well, I think let's break down the calls. Let's say there's 100 calls. Maybe only 30 of them will dispatch. How many will go to a community service officer? How many will go to a patrol officer?
Chief?
You got one behind you,
James?
buddy.
Yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. I think we need to do a better job of reviewing the data that's posted on the website first. Some of the things that we're asking for is information that we know is on the website, and we can see trends year over year. We can see the types of calls. I believe we can differentiate between the number of calls versus the number actually service where people have actually gone out. I think a lot of that information is available. I'm really hesitant to ask for information that's already readily available to us through the website.
Okay.
I'll investigate that and see where it is and see if
Yeah,
it leads
retract
me
your
to new
motion?
questions.
So you want to retract your motion? Michael, you want to retract your motion?
I'll retract my motion, and I'll ask Commissioner McKenna if we wanted to have a report on the community service office, CSO.
I was just going to mention if it would be more beneficial to the commission providing a report on CSO, because part of that discussion we would include as far as how many calls that they have handled over the course of time and what that looks like.
Okay, great. So would any of you would like to make the motion for that?
I'll second it.
Would you like to make the motion first?
Motion first. I'll make the motion, I thought you had to. Don't move these along here. I'll motion that, as the chief suggested, we have a report on the role, function in CSO.
CSO.
I will
And Michael will second. For
January?
January?
Whenever the chief thinks it's appropriate.
Chief?
And that would also fall in line with LAS parking, kind of goes hand in hand as well, so.
Perfect. Okay, great. So it'll be agenda for January. And so now we'll just call for a vote. Everyone approve? Aye? Wonderful. So agenda is for January. Any other agenda items anyone wants to mention or bring up? Or agenda?
Just to put on your radar, in February we usually do a special meeting to do the community outreach or community community engagement meeting for the military equipment. So it usually happens the day before or the same day as a regularly scheduled meeting, but
Same
at
day.
5 o'clock.
Same day.
Second hour before.
Okay, just to put it on everybody's radar.
Okay. You guys are good? All right, wonderful. So that takes care of the introduction to the agenda items. And so now, for our next meeting date, on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025, we will be meeting at City Council chambers at 4 p.m. for a joint meeting with City Council. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.
Chairman, may I
Oh,
make one more?
sure.
I apologize. To follow up on what the chief just said about the 927 baby seat, Kiwanis will be supplying identification stickers to be put on every seat. They're basically like a luggage tag that if the baby gets separated from the driver, we have an emergency contact, so we'll be supplying those. And on October 11th, before our next meeting, at our Community Family Fun Day golf ball drop, the Burbank Police will also be handing out free bicycle helmets. We're going to order 3 different sizes from infants, adolescents, and adults. So please come October 11th at John Muir Middle School. Have a good moment with a police officer while he fits you with a helmet. Thank you.
May I
Thank you,
ask,
Paul.
how do you guys promote that?
They're promoting the golf ball drop as a family fun day. They're not, in my opinion, we're not doing as good a job as we should with the helmets. But we've averaged the last 2 years giving about $1,000 worth of helmets at each event. So we are definitely putting them out there. And like I said, it's a positive moment for a child
So,
when,
Okay.
a lot of times the officers put them up on one of the motors and they're sitting on a motorcycle and the officer's fitting them and
Paul.
now they'll wear it.
So, no, as much as I appreciate that update, so we want to make sure that when we're having those conversations, it's, just because.
I just, when he mentioned it.
Yeah, no, I understand. I completely understand. Well, with that, the meeting is adjourned.